Let's learn about the difference between shapes and forms. Shapes are two-dimensional or 2D. A square, a triangle, a circle, a star, these are all two-dimensional shapes. Shapes are called two-dimensional because you can measure them two ways. You can measure the height and the width of a shape. Forms are three-dimensional or 3D. A square is 2D, but a cube is 3D. A triangle is two-dimensional, but a pyramid is three-dimensional. A sphere is the 3D version of a circle. Spheres are fun because to make a sphere 3D, you have to use pencil shading. The shadow on the sphere makes it look like it's curving around. So let's look at this again. Forms are three-dimensional. To make a cube, you use parallel lines and then you connect them. Your parallel lines go at an angle. I can measure this cube three ways. I can measure a shape two ways, but this is a form. I can measure the height, width, and the depth. Let's see that again. Forms are three-dimensional. They're made with parallel lines, diagonal parallel lines. I can measure them three ways: height, width, and depth. That makes them 3D. We're going to practice drawing some forms. Remember, forms are three-dimensional. They have height, width, and depth. So I can measure them three ways. I'm going to show you guys how to draw a cube, a pyramid, a rectangular prism, and a sphere. To make a cube, start by drawing a square. Next, we're going to add diagonal parallel lines coming from three of the square's corners. To make your lines parallel, you can just slide your ruler across your paper. I have three diagonal parallel lines. Next, we're going to connect the sides of the cube with lines that match the square. When you connect the parallel lines, make sure that your line matches the side of the cube. Notice how that ruler edge is parallel to the side of the square. I can see through my ruler, so I can make sure that my ruler is parallel to the side of the square. Now I have a cube. I have extra lines sticking out of my cube, so I'm going to clean up my drawing with an eraser. Now I'm going to draw a pyramid. To make a pyramid, I start by drawing a triangle. After I draw the triangle, I make a diagonal line from the bottom corner that's pointing up. Now I connect that diagonal line with the point of the triangle and I'll have a pyramid. Next, I'm going to make a rectangular prism. Rectangular prisms are just like making a cube, except instead of starting with a square, you start with a rectangle. Again, you'll make 3 parallel lines from 3 corners of the rectangle. Notice I'm sliding my ruler. Connect the diagonals for the rectangular prism just like you connected the diagonals to make a cube. Next, let's make a sphere. To make a sphere, start out by drawing a circle. It's okay to keep drawing the circle until you have enough lines to make it as perfect as you want. You can take an eraser and erase the lines that you don't need. Next, I'm going to shade the sphere. When I do pencil shading, I like to use the side of my pencil lead. I don't use the point like that because that will make a really heavy, dark mark. Use the side of your pencil and it will make a fuzzy mark that looks like a shadow. Shade the sphere, darker on the edge and lighter towards the middle. Smudging the pencil with your finger will help to get that shadow effect. Darker on the edge and lighter in the middle. Next, create a shadow on the ground next to the sphere. This makes it look even more three-dimensional. After you finish shading the sphere, the next thing we're going to do is shade the cube, the rectangular prism, and the pyramid. Keep using the side of your pencil just like I showed you, and remember you can smudge your shading with your finger. One side of the cube should be darker, and one side should be lighter, and one side should be completely white. When you think about shading forms and other objects, think about where the light comes from. I shaded the sphere so that the light looked like it was coming from the top left. The same thing with the cube, so the pyramid will have a shadow on the right side opposite the light bulb that I drew on my paper. The same thing will be true for the rectangular prism. Next time you come to class, we're going to do some more form drawings, and we're going to continue shading them, but we're going to add Sharpie outlines and watercolor paint.